Good morning. Today we are going to discuss the implication of equality of educational opportunities in the Unit 7 from contemporary India. Disclaimer: the video content has been made available for informational and educational purpose only. Introduction: there seems to be one kind of discrimination or other among the people in all the countries. The situation is such that all people are not able to enjoy equal rights and freedom and make use of the social resources and all the facilities available in the society. In other words, there are social inequalities on a large or smaller scales. In developed countries, such as social disparities are very less, and in developing countries, including India, the disparities are to a greater extent. In India, discrimination are based on the caste, religion, economic status, gender difference, place of residence, nature of occupation, and its status. Education is a great social leveler. Gandhiji firmly believed that through education we can bring in a silent social revolution. The education is the birthright of all the people. However, since very long time, education had remained a very rare commodity for people in the lower strata of the society. Gender discrimination and the male domination still persist. Literacy among the poor, rural women, scheduled caste, and tribal people is still low. Due to the caste discrimination, some sections of the people were kept away from schools or marginalized in education. In this unit, we are going to study in detail the three social evils, that is, inequality, discrimination, and marginalization. Next, we are moving to meaning of equality in education. The National Policy on Education 1986 has defined equality in education or equity in education as making available to all the students quality education from primary school to higher education without discrimination of the caste, religion, language, region, or gender. This implies that all children should get similar educational opportunities and educational environment to facilitating everyone to get education according to his her abilities and their aptitudes and develop their inherent potential fully. Next, we are moving to equality in constitutional provisions. Article 14 to 18 of the Indian Constitution dealing with equality explain how all the Indian citizens are entitled to be treated equally. Article 14 states that the state shall not deny to any person equality before the law or the equal protection of the laws within the territory of India. Though equality before law and equal protection of the law appears to be synonymous, they have different meaning. The equality before law prohibits any discrimination among the citizens since it is considered as a negative concept, whereas the concept of equal protection of the law speaks of treating all the citizens in the same manner under the same circumstances. It is giving the special treatment to persons in different situations in order to establish equality among all. This implies a positive concept. The principle of all are equal before the law is a natural outcome of the rule of law. No person is above the law, all have to abide by the law. This equality is not unconditional, it is subject to certain exemptions. Next, we are moving to Article 15. The article forbids discriminations on the grounds only of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth, or any of them. No citizen should be prevented from entering the shop, public resorts, hotels, restaurants, and recreation places, etc. And no condition should be laid for each for such entry. This article enabled the state to provide any special provisions for the women and the children as well as for the upliftment of the socially and educationally backward class people. It applies to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes as well. Article 16. This article assures equality of opportunities in matters of public employment and prevents the state from any sort of discriminations on the ground of religion, race, caste, sex, descent, place of birth, of residence, or any of them. There shall be equality of opportunities for all the citizens in matters relating to public appointments. This article does not prevent the state from making special provisions for the reservation of appointment for the backward classes, the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. According to this provision, reservation of the post for the people of a certain religion or its denominations in a religious or denominational institutions will not be deemed illegal. Article 16 does not prevent the state from making special provisions for the reservation of appointment for the backward classes, scheduled castes, and scheduled tribes. According to this provision, the reservation of the post for the people of certain religions or its denominations in a religious or denominational institutions will not be deemed illegal. Article 17 forbids the practice of untouchability in any form. The enforcement of any disability arising out of untouchability shall be an offence punishable in accordance with the law. Article 18 said that no title, not being a military or academic distinction, shall be conferred by the state. No citizen of India shall accept any title from any foreign state. No citizen of India shall, while he holds any office of profit or trust under the state, accept without the consent of the president any title from any foreign state. No person holding any office of profit or trust under the state shall, without the consent of the president, accept any president, emolument, or office of any kind from or under any foreign state. Let's move on to causes of inequality in education. Inequalities in educational opportunities arises due to the following factors: the huge disparities in the socioeconomic status of the people, the disparities in the socioeconomic status of the parents get reflected in the educational opportunities available to their children. If the parents are affluent or their children thought not intelligence get quality education by paying hefty fees. Children of poor families, particularly rural children, depends upon the government schools which are mostly ill-equipped. The regional imbalance. The greater disparities could be found among the standards of the education available in the different states of the country. For example, Bihar, Odisha, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh lag behind in education, whereas the Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Maharashtra have registered tremendous progress in education, even across the different districts within the same state. The educational opportunities vary considerably. For example, in state capitals, we have wide educational opportunities which people living in the remote village could not even dream of. Inequality in the quality of education available, differences in the standards of the schools and colleges creates an extremely intractable form of educational inequalities. The standard of education available in well-equipped urban schools significantly differ from that provided by the rural schools. Most of them are the government schools which lack the requisite infrastructure and instructional facilities. The disparities in education of the boys and girls in our country, parents show more interest towards the education of boys rather than the girls. As a result of it, the number of male students is higher than the girls at all stages and in all the sectors of education. The additional learning opportunities available for the men are not there for the women students. The gross inequalities in the home condition of people's home environment varies between urban homes and rural homes. In homes situated in urban areas, and the children of educated parents have better educational facilities and parental guidance. On the other hand, in rural areas, the home environment is not congenial for the children's learning. For example, the tribal children do not even have electricity in their homes to facilitate their learning. Neither they get any guidance to clear their doubts. Number six, the huge disparities among the social classes. There are considerable differences among the children of traditionally educated communities and those for the socially backward and marginalized sections, tribal communities, and weaker section of the society in the matter of educational development. The Muslim people even evince a keen interest to train their children in trade and business at the young age instead of providing the formal education to them. Number seven is inequality in management of educational institutions. In India, all educational institutions are not under the same management. For example, most of the educational institutions are under the management of the state or central governments. There are also a large number of educational institutions under the management of private individuals or the trust. The nature and the standard of education provided in these institutions are not the same. Generally, the standard of education in Christian missionaries schools and residential public school is of high quality. Stated in brief, though, we say the educational opportunities should be equal for all in practice. The education children get today is unequal according to the educationist. Next, we are moving to ways and means to provide equal opportunities in education. To equalize education opportunities to all in India, some drastic measures are important. They are the uniform pattern of education, the common school system for the public education, a removal of regional imbalance, removal of urban rural difference in education, importance of the girls' education, and the schools for the handicapped, education of the weaker section of the society, abolition for the tuition fees, liberal schemes for the scholarship, and compulsory education to the secondary stage. Let's see each and everything in detail. The uniform pattern of education. A scheme of uniform pattern of education should be implemented across the country in all schools as a first step towards nationalizing all education institutions in the country. Government should grant liberal grants to all the schools and enforce uniform patterns of the curriculum and ensure almost comparable standards in all the schools. Second, on the common school system for the public education, the major weakness of the present education system is instead of providing good education to all children or at least to all the able children from every stratum of the society, it is available to a small minority which is usually selected not on the basis of the talent but on the basis of the capacity to pay the fee. The children of masses are compelled to receive the substandard education. If this evil is to be eliminated, we must move towards the goal of a common system of public education which will open to all the children irrespective of the caste, creed, community, religion, economic conditions, social status, where access to the good education will depend not on wealth or class but on the talent, which would maintain adequate standards in all the schools and provide at least a reasonable proportion of quality institutions in which no tuition fees will be charged and which would meet the need for the average parent so that he would not ordinarily feel the need to send his children to expensive schools outside the system. Such an education system has, for instance, been built in Russia and is one of the major factors which has contributed to its progress. The removal of regional imbalance in the educational progress among the states are to be eliminated. For example, Kerala has a higher proportion of budgetary allocation for education compared to to that in states like Odisha and Bihar. The union government at the center should make available special financial packages for educationally backward states. The removal of urban-rural differences in education. Schools in large numbers are to be opened in rural areas, and good standards should be maintained in these schools compared to that in urban schools. Removal of urban-rural differences in education. The schools in large numbers are to be open in rural areas, and good standards should be maintained in these schools comparable to that in urban schools. The importance of girls' education and the employment facilities for the girls should be expanded so that they could compete with men in all walks of life on equal terms. The schools for handicapped, the special schools for the education of the handicapped should be open at least one in every taluk. Education of weaker section in society. The scheduled caste and scheduled tribes are educationally backward and suffer from bad socio-economic conditions of the life. More number of schools are to be opened in hilly areas as well as the urban slums, facilitating the education of weaker sections of the society. Abolition of the tuition fees in a phased manner. Education at all stages should be made free. To start with, the primary education should be made completely free. Then the scheme of free education could be extended to the secondary and higher education levels. Our country should not lose not even one student who is unable to pay the school fees and continuing his education. Liberal schemes of scholarship. A liberal scheme should be formulated to grant scholarship and the financial assistance for meritorious poor students. Children below the poverty line should be provided with the free textbooks and stationeries, free uniforms, and midday meal. All school children should be provided free transport. Students at the higher secondary schools should be given a free cycles and laptop computers. At higher education stage, education loans at the nominal interest should be made available for the needy students through banks. A compulsory education up to the secondary stage, we should quickly move to the stage of making education free and compulsory till the secondary level throughout the country. The recommendation of the Qatar Education Commission, the Education Commission recommendation on this problem as contained in chapter 6 of its report may be summarized as follows. Direct cost in the country should work towards a stage when all education should be free. The proportion of the free students in the higher education and university stage of education should be increased to 30% of the enrollment. Other private costs, other in education, uniform, dress, transport, midday meals, textbooks, writing material have increased greatly in recent years, not necessary for the education reasons. Efforts are needed to reduce them to the minimum. The free textbooks and writing material should be provided at the primary stage. A program of the book bank should be developed in the secondary schools and institution of the higher education. The libraries of the secondary schools and the institution of the higher education should contain an adequate number of sets of textbooks so that the students can have easy access to them. Scholarship programs should receive the considerable emphasis and may be made stronger and the equitable in organization. Scholarship should be of two kinds. For example, for hostelers and day scholars, the hostel expenses may be reduced and the amount of scholarship should be regulated to cover all the costs. The national scholarship should be awarded to the top 10 by 1985 and 1986. 50% of this scholarship should be awarded on the state basis and the rest on the school basis. A program of loan scholarship should be organized for the science and professional courses to be extended to all students later. Other forms of students on the aid like transport facilities, day study, students lodging houses, the places where the students can stay throughout the day and even at the night, but can go home for the food. Facilities for earning while learning may be thought of. The education for the women should be receive the special attention on all the stages in all sectors of education. Girls' education should be encouraged by providing hostels where 100% are the more girls are studying, providing scholarship at a higher education level, separate school at the secondary level of education, appointing more women teachers in college education schools, appointing part-time women teachers, etc. The education of the handicapped, at least one good institution for the handicapped should be made available in each district. The program of integrating handicapped children into the regular school program should also require the special attention. Regional imbalances may be minimized on the following lines. District should be made the unit for the educational planning and development, and the state should spend more on the needy districts at the national level. The backward states should receive greater attention and assistance for the central government. Education of backward and tribals. The expansion of the education of the backward classes should be undertaken through provisions of hostels for denotified communities. The education of tribal people should be given special attention by providing them the hostels and scholarship. The special tuition facilities and the employment opportunities should be created for promising young person from tribal people. The reservation of seats in residential public schools. A certain percentage of the free studentship should be reserved for poor but talented children for studying in residential public school situated in Summer Hill Resort, so that these schools will not be purely elite for the rich. And the final one is a high quality in government run schools. The quality of government should be significantly raised so as to bring them on par with the quality of private schools and residential public schools. Position of equality in educational opportunities in Tamil Nadu. In Tamil Nadu, the special efforts have been taken to equalize educational opportunities and is a model state in India in this matter. The following measures have been undertaken over the years. The uniform standard in education. To have the uniform standard education, Tamil Nadu government of schools in every village, at least one art college and one engineering college in every district have been opened. The free education is provided in government and government aided schools for all the students from the standard 1 to 12 who study through Tamil medium. The textbooks are printed for all the subjects by the Tamil Nadu Textbook Society and supplied to the students at subsidized rate. Removing the economic barriers, education is free for all the children, government and government aided schools up to class 12. Not even the special fees and examination fees are collected from the children of the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes studying in education, any educational institutions. The separate hostels are also maintained for such children to stay and continue their education. A scheme of providing free uniform, dress, noon meal, and a textbook take care of the needs of the poor children of all communities. The free bus passes are provided for all the children up to class 12 to go and return from the school throughout the year. The free cycles are distributed to all the poor students studying in class 11. For all the students studying in class 11, students laptops are supplied at free cost. For college students, subsidized bus pass and tokens are made available, enabling them to go to colleges as well as they visit the libraries. Encouragement for the girls' education. To encourage the girls' education, government has established separate high schools and higher science schools, arts colleges for the girls in considerable numbers. Where women colleges is not located, 30% of the seats are reserved for women's in the men's college. In primary schools, the women are mostly appointed as teachers. For girls who has passed 10th standard, a gift of 25,000 for the poor girls who have passed a degree, diploma, and a gift of 50,000 is given for their marriage by the government. A separate university for the women has been functioning at Kodaikanal in the name of Mother Teresa Women's University. The reservation education for the socially marginalized communities in higher education and professional education, denotified communication communities, the backward and oppressed communities have a total reservation of 69% of the available seats for the students. These communities, the special coaching classes for all Indian services are conducted freely or at a nominal cost. The expanding the educational opportunities for the handicapped, the special schools for the physically handicaps are open in every district of the state. Further facilities have been created to offer integrated education for the physically handicapped in the regular schools themselves, facilitating the handicapped to the study with the normal students. The special quota of the reservation of the seats have been created for the handicapped students in education and employment. The scholarship are also provided to the handicapped students. A supply of free textbooks for all students studying in government schools. The textbooks are distributed free of cost up to standard 10. Next, we are moving to the inequality and the causes of it. In nature, all men are neither equal in respect of their physical features nor in respect of their mental abilities. Some are stronger, some are weaker than others, some are more intelligent, capable than others. This is due to the natural inequalities. Such inequalities cannot be abolished, hence, it is not possible to ensure equality of treatment to all and also allow even to enjoy equal amount of social benefits irrespective of their abilities and work. Ensuring absolute equality is not possible. Natural differences among the human beings have to be accepted by all. However, the discriminations practiced and the inequalities maintained in the name of the caste, color, creed, religion, sex, place of birth, or socioeconomic conditions are all unnatural and man-made. Such man-made inequalities are to be totally eradicated. Equality means the end of all such man-made inequalities and discriminations. Next, we are moving to social inequality. Meaning and definition of social inequality. The social inequalities denotes the disparities found among the people on the basis of the caste and religion, language, race, gender, political power, economic level, and due to these, all the sections of the society are not able to share equally the social resources, facilities, and services available in the society. The social disparities prevailing in the society are otherwise known as social inequality. The term social inequality and social disparity means the people are being fixed in different social strata of the society and based on the gender, age, race, and economic status. The social discriminations found in the different facilities or services provided for to protect the nature of the welfare of the society, such as the job market, other income generating opportunities, health services, concessions, educational facilities, and political representations and participations. The causes for the social inequality. Wisconsin University of USA has found its research study that poverty and inequality are the intertwined. Not only in India but the world all over, the social inequalities are found in one from or other. The socialists say there are two bases of inequality: ascribed social status. This is assigned by others at birth and not earned by an individual due to his efforts. An individual has no control over such assigned social status. It is mainly based on the one's lineage and caste at birth. It clings to a person even if he disowns it. In the West, one's race determines his her social status. Achieved status. This is achieved through one's abilities and talents, hard work, and self efforts. For the individual skills, abilities, self motivation, persistent efforts, efficiency, and performance are the major factors. This concept has been put forth and elaborated by Rolf Linton. Other factors perpetuating the social inequalities are racial discriminations on the basis of physical appearance and features. Anthropologists have classified human beings into five major groups. They have categorized the human race using the chromosomes, skin color, circumference of the skull, average height, color of the eyes, color of the hair, its sexual appearances. Important races of the world are Caucasian, Mongolian, Negro, Red Indian, and Eskimos. Caucasian, white-skinned Europeans, West Asians, and Australians. Mongolian, yellow-skinned Asians with narrow eyes and short nose. Negroes are black Africans. Red Indians, Aborigines, natives of the North and South America. Eskimos, the natives of Arctic regions. These categories were named first by the Carleton S. Coon in 1962 and later on listed with 30 subcategories. The white-skinned people in America and Europe, the Cascasian Nordic, propagated the idea of white supremacy. Number two is caste. In India, the caste system was in the Vedic even before the period of Lord Buddha, second century BC. During the latter part of the Vedic period, the Varna Sharma Dharma founded the four major categories of the people in the society, that is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. From these four categories, many castes came into being based on one's occupation. The caste system in India was initially flexible, but later on it became very rigid. For the disparity and inequality in the Indian society, the caste system is responsible either directly or indirectly. The third one is religion. In every country, there will be a fewer number of people belonging to the particular region. In the society, there will be a religious minority or community or communities. In some countries, within a religion, one among the subgroups may dominate over the others. These kinds of religious minorities will be suppressed by the dominant majority group to reach the higher echelons of the society. Such religious minority groups may not get equal rights and opportunities, political power, and representation in the government. The general differences. Gender differences, gender-based prejudice and discrimination called sexism is a major contributing factor to the social inequality in theocratic states where Orthodox religions is followed strictly as in the Middle East countries. Women have no franchise, voting right, political power, or representation in the government. Women living in the countries under the rule of the monarchy and autocracy demanding equal rights and opportunities is considered as a crime. In countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Israel, England, and Germany, women have been elected as a prime minister and ruled successfully. However, in some of the highly developed countries like USA, a woman president is yet to be elected. The right to a woman to read and preach the religious scriptures, the right to lead a religious prayer, and even to visit some holy shrines are denied by the priest. The economic status, people are classified into many categories such as high income, middle income, and low income groups, and those below the poverty line. The BPL category has an income of less than 100 rupees a day and constitute around 20% of the population. The disparity among the social group is widening as the price of the essential commodities and people needs are increasing constantly. Occupation, some people are who are doing the dirty jobs like scavenging, butchering, disposing of the dead, etc., are permanently kept at the lowest level of the social rung and are treated as outcast. Only when the technology is applied in doing the dirty jobs and modern sanitary methods are used, they could gain a social respect. Urban rural divide. The urban people have more opportunities to avail services like health, education, medical care, transport facilities, and wider social contacts than rural people. These serves as the causes for the urban people to progress and rural people to stagnate at the rural levels. Though the rural development programs are being implemented, still the rural peoples are at the social advantage. A people attitude, those who are well versed in English, who are in government services, who are employed abroad, are most respected in the Indian society and preferred in the marriage market than those who have taken up the traditional occupations, crafts, and those who have not given up their traditional lifestyle. Manual labor and white collar jobs with which involve more manual labor gets less remunerations, command low respects, but those who are under the roof have some technical knowledge get more remuneration and respect. This is also attributed as a factor for the social inequality. Dwelling. People living in slums, those living in huts, single room thatched sheds, or the rented house are socially less respected than those living in the independent houses and using luxury goods. The meaning of inequality in education. It is a situation prevails in all the children in the society do not get the same education opportunities, the equal quality education. That we are referring to as the inequality in education. Those belong to the social lower social strata, the selected religions, particular regions, and gender getting more opportunity to get the quality education, while those belong to the lower class, low income groups, particularly religious sector, genders, and backwards regions getting less opportunities for the education is known as inequality in education. In brief, the social inequalities affecting the educational opportunities of the children is otherwise called inequality in education. The causes for the inequality in education is the two basic factors for the educational inequalities. One is the social discrimination and the marginalization of the some special social groups, some marginalization of the some social groups. Now let us discuss in detail about the two factors. One is discriminating the social groups. People are in the society are differentiated based on religion, caste, class, race, etc. They function as a different social groups. It's if all the social groups are not able to participate equally in the social life, enjoying the facilities and services available in the society, and share the political power, then there exists the social discrimination. The discriminatory social practices which allow some sections in the society enjoying the more preferences and importance, some other sections have to be concerned with less privilege, and the importance of a few sections are socially neglected, marginalized, or called social discriminations or entering the social differentiation. In societies where the social differentiation is very strong, such as we and they, the social groups highly privileged and the dominant force are considered to be the upper class and highly progressive, and those which enjoy the preferences and importance only to a small extent are marginalized and deprived. In developed countries, particularly in the Western countries, the social discrimination is found to be the least, whereas in developing countries, including India, it is a significant level. In India, the social discrimination is very high, as one of the social status is mainly ascribed and decided on the basis of his her birth, lineage, and the social recognitions received from others. To remove the state, as the Indian Constitution emphasizes, one social status is to be acquired as a result of his her performance, efficiency, motivation, achievement. For implementing this directive of the Indian Constitution, the central and the state government have initiated suitable measures. If you look at the caste-wise distribution of the students in schools, backward class students most study in the government or government institutions. Those hailing from the marginalized section of the society study in Adi Dravida schools, the special schools for the different able, etc. The children from the socially upper class and more, particularly those at the higher economic level, study in the private school, especially in the residential schools and international schools. If you look at the gender angle, many parents, particularly those who are poor and illiterate, do not send their daughters to the school beyond the fifth standard, but send their sons to the secondary schools and beyond. As a result of this, the enrollment of the girls is significantly low in secondary schools and the colleges as compared to that of the boys. The school curriculum also does not cater to the needs and social progress of the girls. Parents hesitate to send their daughters to the far-off schools and co-education schools, as the possibility of subjecting the girls to sexual harassment is that the education institutions parents do not continue the education of their daughters beyond the level of the secondary schools. Even the higher education, including the professional educations, subject to that are suitable for the girls are not available. Only the few parents send their daughters to the institution, the higher education like colleges, universities. Most of the parents prefer to give their daughters married than educating them further beyond the school final. Now this trend is slowly changing, at least in urban areas. Marginalization of the social group, conceptualization of the marginalization. In human society, the dominant social groups, people with power and high social status, pushing out of those people whom they consider as not contributing to the society in any way or undesirable from the day-to-day social and cultural activities, and ignoring them is called marginalization. The people who are marginalized will get united for the sake of their protection and start living as a social groups isolated from the social mainstream. People of such social groups are called marginalized people. Children hailing from the families of such people are called marginalized children. Marginalized people are neither able to participate in the school life, in the social life, or enjoy any representation in the political power of the country. Generally, these peoples are economically backward, socially disrespected by the people of the majority groups in the society, and denied of the rights and privileges enjoyed by others. The marginalized children hailing from the families of the social minority groups without having the proper facilities and adequate opportunity to learn from the generation together remains educationally backward. The marginalized children and their characters, children who grow up in families belonging to the social groups which are subject to the continued social neglect, oppressed and denied of the rights and privileges due for others in society are known as marginalized children. Following could be mentioned as the characteristic of the marginalized children. They lack the facilities and opportunities for learning due to the malnutrition. They often become sick. These children do not get adequate medical facilities due to the poverty. They live at the remote places, mostly on the outskirts of the urban villages or areas. Their dwellings lacks basic amenities and are highly unhygienic. They are forced to take up some odd jobs at an early age to earn and augment their family income. None of their peers the neighborhood shows any interest to go to the school. The parents of the school children are illiterates, not having any awareness about the importance of the education, suffer from poverty without having any permanent job. Marginal children not only lack education, they also do not have any vocational skills. They also lack interest in acquiring vocational skills. Marginal children do not have the role model in their communities for the development. The type of social inequality, India has attained independence, but not all Indians have learned to participate in the democracy in an intelligent way, equally and efficiently. India's economic policy is said to be a pro-rich and generate new rich people. The taxation policy is not helping to reduce the gap between the rich and poor. Equality in opportunities to progress is found in small measures. It has not reached the weaker section of the society to a greater extent as expected. The practice of sharing power right from the family level to the religion and the nations has not yet strengthened. All citizens are not treated equally. The government is not responsive to the people needs. We shall now discuss how this affects the social groups and cause social inequality in the society. The caste-based social inequality, Hutch Cooley defines caste as a lifestyle and the practice strictly followed by the social groups. A Berkeley describes the caste as hierarchically arranged groups that are based on the hierarchy. In India, the social groups based on the birth are known as caste. Each caste has its own lifestyle code of conduct. Kuladharma prescribed customs, traditions, norms which state what is right and what is wrong, rituals and practices. A caste had a root in racial differences among the human beings and spread slowly. In India, there are countless number of castes and subcastes. The disparity in the society, which provides for making available preferences and privileges for some caste, denying the same to other castes, is known as caste-based inequality. The children born to parents of the same caste are alone considered as belonging to that caste. Generally, marriages take place within the same caste. Mostly, people of the caste continue to take up a particular occupation hereditarily. The caste inequality is a hereditary stratification system. Jawaharlal Jawaharlal Nehru described the caste system as a cancer afflicting the Indian society. The respect, privileges, opportunities afforded to the people of high caste are not available to those belong to the low caste. The caste affinities and the loyalties influences elected bodies as well as national elections. Though reservation for the seats and quota systems in higher education and government job has benefited the backward class significantly, yet their self-confidence, self-initiative, and the hard work on the part of the deprived has to be boosted to bridge the social divide based on the caste. The K.M. Panikar has pointed out with historical evidence that people who have achieved the high expertise in business and technologies as well as the social groups they belong to have gone up to the higher level of social status. Promoting the intercaste marriages on the large scale could demolish the caste structure and increase the inequality. Social equality. Gender-based inequality, the gender-based prejudice and discriminations called sexism is a major contributing factors of social inequality that treating males and females differently in the family, education institutions, workplace, in common places like railway station, restaurants, cinema, theaters, markets, shopping malls, places of worship, unequal opportunity between the men and the women in the education, employment, discriminating the views and attitudes regarding the role and the participation of men and women in different schools activities, including the considering the women as one personal property and the object of the pleasure is known as gender discrimination. In other words, the denial of all kind of rights and opportunities of the women on par with men is also called as gender discriminations. In other words, the denial of all kinds of rights and opportunity for the women on par with men is called as gender discrimination. Job opportunities for the women are not equal to the men. The percentage of women among those in top posts is very low. Though equal pay for the equal work has been accepted in principle, in practice, the pay for women is found to be less than the men doing the same work, particularly in unorganized sectors. Women are considered as not good to drive the heavy trucks or serve as pilots or as a frontline soldiers in the army, as employees and officials involved in the field work in all the three wings of the army. In education too, the rates of enrollment of the girls is considerably less than the boys. Their rates of dropouts is also high. In professional education also, all the subjects offered for the men are not available to the girls. In educational institutions, it is becoming a common that girls are subject to the sexual harassment by the male students and the teachers. The representation of the women in parliament, state assemblies, as well as the state government is very mere. The women ministers are seldom given the power portfolios. Now, some states of India have reserved 33% to 50% of the seats in local bodies like Panchayat unions, municipalities, and corporations due to women endowment. Women empowerment becomes possible, strengthening the gender equality. The claim that the class-based inequalities. When civilization started developing the society, various services and occupations also multiplied to meet their needs. Each occupation required its own educational qualification skills. According to the occupation, the society are hierarchically stratified based on their needs, importance, benefits, educational qualification, the skills required for each one of them. Generally speaking, vocational status of the persons depends upon his or her educational attainment and the skills and importance of the occupation undertaken and occasional experience gained. It gave rise to three occupations related layers, namely the high class, middle class, and lower class. The high class consists of owners of heavy industries, financial institutions, top officials. The middle class consists of those in knowledges, related services, executives who carried out the orders of the owners. The lower class consists of the manual laborers, those involved in the services which require more of the physical labor. Such class differences creates inequalities and exploitation in the society, but the class structures in cashless and unrelated to religion. It does not also hinder the nationalistic split. As stated briefly, the class differences are based on the income and the economic disparities. It gives rise to social differentiations and inequalities such as the capitalists and the workers, the rich and the poor, educated and the illiterate, haves and have-nots, etc. Through educational attainments and proficiency skill, the vocational status of the persons rises. This makes it clear that education plays a greater role in mitigating the class-based inequalities. The undermentioned steps may be taken to reduce the class struggle in the society, providing the vocational training as a part of the general education, increasing the number of educated people in the population, granting the liberal loans through banks, modernizing or updating the labor laws, taxing the high income growth by increasing the income tax and wealth tax rates, enhancing the productivity of the workers, promoting entrepreneurship among the educational youth, providing for the labor representations in the administration of industrial units. Next, we are moving to inequality related to the religions. All states in India are not equally developed. The main indices of the programs like generation of electricity, poor protection, transportation, communication facilities, education, medical facilities, per capita income, employment opportunities available are high in some states, while some other states are lagging behind in them. Even in the same state, while urban areas have plenty of all kinds of facilities, rural areas still lacks even essential facilities of life. For example, in education states like Bihar, Odisha, Uttar Pradesh are backward backward, while Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra are in the forefront. Rather, even with the same states, facilities available for education vary regions wise, like some cities, towns, and villages. For example, the education facilities available in the towns are far better than the rural areas like villages and hamlets. Based on the National Population Census 2011, representatives indicators of a progress for the select states are shown below to highlight the regional related social inequality prevailing in India. The above representation table indicates the following. There are great disparities in the indices of the human resource development, like infant mortality, birth rate, life expectancy, literacy levels, gender equality, per capita income, and the poverty level among the different regions in India. There is urgent need for expansion of the education facilities and increase in the job opportunities. The developmental programs, without addressing the poverty eradication, will further increase the social disparities. To improve the social equality, all should strive from the micro level, the village level, to the macro level, national level. Education to eliminate the social inequalities. Education for all the children at all levels should be should be our goals. As the first step towards this, a school education should be provided free of cost to all the children. No child in our country should be allowed to suffer from being not able to continue his education due to poverty. Students from marginalized sections of the society should be given free education at all levels. Adequate reservation of the seat should be made in higher and professional education for students marginalized sections of the society and backward communities. The common public school offering quality education should be established throughout the country, and the common education system should be implemented in all schools across the country. Every child should have access to the primary school within a distance of 2 kilometers from its home, and the high school within 5 kilometers. Central government should advise all the states in these regards and provide the financial assistance needed. Providing the free midday meal to all the children, central government should advise all the states in this regard and provide the financial assistance needed. Providing the free midday meals to all the children up to the 10th standard, the free hostels for the SC and ST students, separately for the boys and girls, should be provided with adequate facilities. A free textbook, stationery, and school uniform should be given for all the students studying in the government and aided schools. Removing the regional imbalances, central government should provide a special financial assistance to educationally backward states like Odisha, Bihar, Jharkhand, besides ensuring that all state governments make significant financial allocation for education every year. More number of well-equipped schools with adequate facilities should be opened in the rural areas as means of facilitating these roads, and other infrastructure facilities should be enhanced. Besides offering many concessions and privileges of those who came forward to start educational institutions in the rural areas. Promoting the women education, to promote women education, more number of girls schools, colleges, polytechnics, industrial training institutes should be established. Where there are no separate colleges for the women, at least 30% of the seats should be allotted to the girls, and many in men's college functioning in those places. Only women teachers should be appointed in the schools up to standard 5. Free cycle and laptop should be provided to the higher secondary school students. Providing marriage assistance up to rupees 25,000 for the girls who finish this school education successfully will go a long way in encouraging girls to complete a secondary education. Eliminating wastage is stagnation in primary educations. Making available scholarship and education loans. Government should extend the financial help in the form of the scholarship to poor students as well as meritorious students. Arrangement should be made to provide bank loans at nominal rate of interest to poor students pursuing higher education. To increase employment opportunities among the youth, secondary education should be vocationalized. Work experience should be made an integral part of education at all levels. In all private schools, public schools, and special public schools, international functioning in hill station, 25% of the seats should be reserved for quality students living in the neighborhood at free of cost. Now, the central government has started reimbursing fees according to the standard scale. It should be made mandatory for all the government recognized schools to admit students without any discriminations based on the caste, religions, and class. Government aided school except the religious and linguistic minority institutions. Appointment of teachers as well as the admission of students based on the caste and religion should be forbidden. In all residential schools and student hostels, students from all sections of the society should be admitted without any reservations. By expanding the distance education and open education system, education could be made to reach all the sections of the society. By including gender education in the school's curriculum, attitude of entering gender discriminations could be significantly reduced. Education for the marginalized groups. The term marginalized groups was the first used in France. Today, all over the world, the term is widely used by educationists, psychologists, sociologists, political scientists, and economists. In the marginalized groups, some social groups, outcasts, and those engaged in some other categories of the jobs doing mental jobs are included. In India, Adivasis, ancient natives, nomadic tribes, sanitaries, and child workers are significant among those included in the marginalized groups. The five countries in the world are identified as those who having marginalized people in greater proportions. They are Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Iraq, and Bangladesh. Five countries in the world are identified those having marginalized people in great proportion. Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Iraq, and Bangladesh. Meaning of the marginalized social group in a society excluding one or more groups of people who are perceived by the dominant social groups are not so important, powerless, or without useful functions. The mainstream of the society and making them accept their inferiority is called marginalization. In the society, excluding one or more groups of the people who are perceived by the dominant social groups as not so important, powerless, or without the usual functions from the mainstream of the society and making them accept their inferiority is called marginalization. In Western countries, senile and very old people too are also marginalized. Generally, in society, those who are pursued by the undesirable and useless by the dominant social groups are marginalized. Such exclusion is inhuman and need no further comments. Those who are excluded from the mainstream of the society form separate and distinct groups from among themselves and act unitedly to protect themselves and establish the unity and a collective identity. Peter Leonard defines the marginality as being outside the mainstream of productive activity. Marginalization means keeping some social groups at the edge, denying them the special privileges and the power found at the center. Marginality is so thoroughly demeaning for economic well-being, human dignity, as well as for physical security. The marginal people can always be identified by the members of the dominant community society and will face irrevocable discrimination. The characteristics of the marginalized social group, the following are the characteristics of the marginalized social group that are subjected to the social differentiation by the people of the majority groups in the society and they are expected to obey others. As the physical activities and cultural behavior of the people or marginalized groups quite different from the habits and lifestyle of the majority people in the society belonging to the dominant social groups, they do not gain social recognition. People of such minority groups develop a kind of unity and collective identity among themselves, act as a group to face the common challenges collectively. The people of these marginalized groups have the norms to define who are all included in their group. They show the interest to marry only those in their respective groups. Dwelling in the marginalized peoples are generally located outskirts of the village and the towns and remains highly unhygienic without any basic amenities. The marginalized people in India are women, differently able, Dalit, scheduled tribes, Adivasis, old people, orphan children, transgender, bisexual, lepers, and beggars. The education of the Dalit before Indian independence, Dalits were considered as untouchables and pushed to the margin of the society, made to be live in unhygienic slums, usually located at the outskirts of the village. This Marathi word Dalit means suppressed or oppressed. According to the census 2011, Dalit population in India is about 20.14 crore. It constitutes 16.6% of the India's population. The educational facilities provided to the Dalits are free education at all levels, the free residential hostels separately for Dalits, boys and girls in rural areas, separate schools for the Dalits in which students are provided free textbook, stationery, uniform, midday meals, reservation of the seats in higher education, awards of prizes and certificate for those with a good educational proficiency, education of scheduled tribes. Most of the Adivasis inhabited in the northeast India. Adivasis constitute 87.7% of the population of the Nagaland, 85.5% in Meghalaya, 94.7% in Mizoram, 68.7% in Arunachal Pradesh, and 1% in Tamil Nadu. According to the census of 2011, literacy rates among the scheduled caste are the 66% and 58.96% among the scheduled tribes. Literacy rate among the scheduled tribes in Tamil Nadu is 54.3. Nagaland in northeastern India has a literacy rate of 80.11, male 83.29 and female 76.69. It has adopted English as a official language in 1967. It has an area of 16,579 kilometers, a population of 22.75 lakh in 2012. Among the scheduled tribes, the school dropouts rate was found to be high. The statistical data in the school dropouts are females in standard 1 to 5 is 33.9 and 1 to 8 is 55.4 and 1 to 10 is 71.3. What are the problems in the education of the tribals? A language, tribals have only spoken language. They do not have a script or grammar or literature, lifestyle, hunting, gathering and selling herbal leaves and roots, honey cutting trees, and helping mountaineers. The forest areas, they live in hamlets which are widely scattered. Density of population is very less. The problems in the education of tribals, the instruction provided in the school, in their opinion, is not useful for the day-to-day life. Lack of trained tribal teachers, fear that learning through the other languages will upset their way of life. They prefer their isolation of the forest with their own music and dance, unwilling to change their lifestyle. Ways and means of providing education for the scheduled tribes, establishing the regional school in the hilly areas of the tribal group, developing the access path and roads to reach the nearby school in the urban areas to reduce the dropout rate at the school education level, establishing occasional training centers with the impart the literacy along with the occasional training, liberal financial aids to the students in the form of the scholarship, provisions for the special reservation for the tribal students in education institutions, bringing all tribal schools under the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan scheme, and giving the special allowances to the teachers working in the tribal schools, giving the short-term training in teaching to tribal youth and involving them in tiny villages to teach the children on the contract basis, through integrated tribal welfare board. The following activities may be undertaken: developing the awareness among the tribals about the need for the education of the children, the providing functional literacy related to the agriculture, horticulture, marketing the medicinal herbs, honey, and aromatic materials that are collected. The education for the women, there is a remarkable progress in the education of women in Kerala and Mizoram, which have attained 100% literacy among the females. In the state of Rajasthan, percentage of literacy rate among the females is the lowest in India, only 52.12%. Overall, the percentage of literacy in India is 81.3 for the women, for the men, and 65.4 for the women. In Tamil Nadu, the average literacy rate is 80.33 for the men, at 86.81, and women for 73.68. The measures for improving the women education, giving the priority to open girls schools and hostels for the girls, and giving free bus passes to the girls to go to school and colleges in urban areas, running special buses for the women on schools and college working days, providing the free education textbooks up to 12th standard, providing the free cycle, laptop, school uniform, medical advice for the girls studying in the higher secondary classes, appointing women teachers in large number of deploying only women teachers in girls' schools, so as far as possible, improving the basic amenities needed for the students in the schools and colleges, preventing sexual harassment for the girls in education institutions, part-time education through the open school system, helping girls to pass 8, 9, and 10th standard examinations and improve their educational qualification, higher education, helping women to get degrees and diplomas through the Indira Gandhi National Open University, IGNOU, and additional education programs of the state universities. General measures providing the housing facilities on the nominal rent for the women teachers near their school areas where they work. The special awards and rewards to the teachers who take the special interest in care in girls' education, allowing teachers to work on the part-time basis, providing financial assistance for the education to the young widows and women who have been deserted by their husband. Conclusion in this unit: meaning of equality in education, opportunity provisions related to equality in the Indian Constitution, causes of inequality in education, ways and means of providing equal opportunity in education, inequality in causes of for it, inequality in education, two basic causes for it via discriminating the social groups, the modulation of some social groups, characterization of the marginal groups, characteristics of the marginalized children, important types of social inequality, caste-based social inequality, class-based social inequality, gender-related social inequality, region-related social inequalities, education for eliminating the social inequality, education for the marginalized, particularly education for the elites, education for the tribals, and education for the women were discussed in detail. Thank you.